apologize for that. There are some technical disruptions. I mean, under the new normal circumstances, this is bound to happen. So just bear with us. Okay. So hello everyone, and welcome to APU Industry Career Webinars 2021. My name is Shekrin, and I will be your host for this session. We will be covering a series of motivating and important webinars starting from today, 18 June until 20th June, in assisting those who are tuning in to make an informed decision after school. Okay, so for those who are just joining in, welcome. You are yet to miss out on any crucial essence of today's session. Okay, all right. So without further delay, it is my great pleasure to introduce the speakers for the first sessions of the day. Associate Professor Dr. Tang Ka-fei, the Head of Schools of APU Engineering, as well as Dr. Lau Chi Yong, Senior Prominent Engineering Lecturer, who will be delivering the talk on empowering future innovations in engineering. Okay, the engineering field in Malaysia is becoming more advanced, with notable engineering achievements being made by engineers in the country. On top of that, there is a need for more engineers to meet the upcoming challenges of the fourth industrial revolution, IR 4.0. This means that job prospects are very high for engineering graduates. Quoting one of the greatest engineers of all time, Elon Musk, engineering is the closest thing to magic that exists in the world. With that, let's welcome Associate Professor Dr. Tang and Dr. Lau to take us through the magic and wonders in the field of engineering.
Shakirin, very good morning to all, and welcome to this session on empowering future innovation in engineering. My name is Associate Professor Dr. Tang. I am the Head of School for Engineering. And joining me today is my colleague, Engineer Technologist, Dr. Lau Chi Yong. So Dr. Lau, you want to say a hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Lau. So I'm a lecturer from School of Engineering, and good morning to everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Lau. So let us start today's session with a question, right? I think everyone can see the question on the screen, right? Are engineering degrees still relevant for the future? So I believe if we actually look at the Facebook or any other social media, or when we take a look at any other advertisement, right? There's always, saying about, future is on data analytics, future is on cybersecurity, and future is on everything that is perceived to be software-based. However, in the future, what kind of role that engineering will play? It doesn't seem to be mentioned of anything engineering. So today, we just wanted to actually demystify this. Engineering is actually very relevant for the future. And today it's up to myself and also Dr. Lau to convince everyone why engineering could potentially be the best degree program you can go for, to prepare you for a job of the future. So in order for me to do that, we have to actually go back all the way to 18th century when we have the so-called first industrial revolution. So during that time, in the 18th century, a lot of the villages, right? A lot of villages are mostly based on agricultural, agricultural. So they are using a very manual way of pushing the machines, for example, using animals or even human power. However, in 18th century, with the invention of steam engines, there are a lot of machines that are being created, which are basically steam power. And since then, we have then been transformed from agricultural industry to a kind of manufacturing industry. However, it's a small scale manufacturing, for example, for textiles and things like that. So there is a change in human life, by moving from agricultural to a bit of industry based. And that is actually what we call a positive disruption to the human society. And moving on to the second industrial revolution, and that is actually happening in the 19th to 20th century. Since then, humans actually discover how to generate electricity. They also discover oil and gas from petroleum. So since then, you will see that the factory start to be developed into a bigger factory with a conveyor line, with production lines running. which is powered by electricity. A lot of the engines are now powered by petroleum and gas. Therefore, what you will see aeroplanes being invented. You will see trains are being expanded into a more massive railroad. So since then, you will see, a lot of the villages has started to become developed into a major city, and a lot of people actually move on to stay in the city. Again, you can see, right, a change and a major disruption positively in terms of human life are being improved upon. And in the late 20th century, then the internet are being developed, and the computing power are getting a lot more advanced. Since then, we are able to actually make use of programming languages, for example, to program embedded devices like microprocessor, and we can use that to automate our production lines. What you see then will be, you have now a modern factory that is able to manufacture a lot of products, that is able to run 24/7 with some human intervention. Yeah. Again, during that time, we also call that as the first information revolution, because we started to make use of the internet and the computer. And now, moving on to the early 21st century, this is where we are at the moment. We call that as the fourth industrial revolution. And before we come to that, right, let's review at the first and the second and the third industrial revolution. If you go according to what I discussed just now, wouldn't you think that all of the major invention coming from the first, the second, and the third industrial revolution, they are all engineering based and they are all engineering focused, right? The invention of steam engine, the ability to find out how to actually produce or generate electricity, and the ability to extract oil and gas from the earth crust, and also the ability to also develop robotic arms such that we can have some kind of automation. So the previous first and second and third industrial revolution are mainly engineering based. So engineers has played a wonderful role in actually propelling the world forward in terms of human development. Now, coming back to the fourth industrial revolution, in this particular era, we started to have a lot of the newer technologies that are made available for us. For example, artificial intelligence, for example, big data analytics, for example, Internet of Things and cloud computing and things like that. So if we take a look at the names of those technology, right, there seems to be very much IT or computer science based. However, do you know that in the actual engineering world, a lot of this technology has been actually used in order to make the manufacturing a bit smarter. So right now in the manufacturing industry, you no longer see any human intervention in the manufacturing process, because machine can communicate with machines, machines can work with human as well to ensure that the production is not disrupted. They can even forecast when the production is going to fail and think about what to do in order to stop further damages to the production. So again, you can see that engineering is the key towards a smart factory, and definitely it will actually benefit a lot to the human society. So now I would like to get Dr. Lau to also elaborate a lot more about smart factory and what IR 4.0 has to do with this. Over to you, Dr. Lau.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tang. Okay, so talking about smart. Okay, so now everything is smart. Even though your smartphone is smart, maybe your vacuum is smart, maybe your refrigerator is smart, maybe your TV is smart. But what is actually the smart? Okay, so in my opinion, actually smart actually having two different criteria. The first criteria is it is able to make decision. Okay, it is able to make decision by itself. So for example, in the production line, which is you are seeing that in this slide, there are a lot of machine being involved. Okay, so the interaction between one machine to the another, so therefore there is no need for the human in order to transfer the interaction between them, because the machine itself is able to make the decision by its own. So therefore this is the first criteria of smart, making self-decision. And also the second criteria about smart, which is it is basically plug and play, which is once you have already nicely setting this system up, so therefore you can just rest assured, you can just go back to your house or whatsoever, because the system is able to self-sustain due to the ability to make decision by itself. Actually this smart system is very favorable in the industry nowadays. So therefore, a lot of industry, they do not longer, if they have developed the smart system in their manufacturing line, they do not really heavily rely on the human capital anymore. For example, like the operator, they need to transfer things to one place to another. So therefore, they can all rely on this automation with the smart features being installed in it. So therefore, that is the reason you are seeing maybe the future warehouse or the future factory, you do not see human that many anymore. You are seeing the machine, you are seeing the parcel flying here and there all by itself, because they all know where they should go and what should be the next process. So therefore, this is my idea about smart factory. So therefore, maybe I want to pass back to Dr. Tang to continue on this.
Thanks, Dr. Lau. Very interesting illustration on smart factory. If you actually listen to what Dr. Lau has to say just now, actually there are in total 11 technologies that are involved in order to enable such a smart manufacturing. So according to a survey by World Economic Forum, they actually mentioned that there are actually 11 technologies that is actually enabling future smart manufacturing, right? Smart manufacturing. So out of the 11 technology here, I think you can see it by yourself as well. I can confidently say that 80% of such a 11 technologies are all skills that you can master by going for engineering program. So let me give you some example. For example, if you actually, as an engineering students, you will learn a lot about artificial intelligence. You will learn how to make use of AI in a lot of problem solving. How do we use AI to detect pattern? How do we use AI to know that whether the product is up to the design specification? Apart from that, right, you also learn about 3D printing, or we call additive manufacturing. You will also learn how do you actually design the product in a CAD and CAM environment and actually get it produced automatically with the latest 3D printing technology. You will also be looking at Internet of Things. Internet of Things basically means you try to put sensors on the devices, and the sensors will collect essential information and send it to the cloud, right? So you will learn also what is the different kind of sensors available and how do you actually fit the sensors onto devices in order to make it internet enabled. Apart from that, definitely you'll be also be learning about system integration. You'll be also being taught how do you look at the entire systems and able to break it down into smaller subsystems, and how different subsystems are able to work together seamlessly in order to achieve a smart manufacturing. And apart from that, of course, simulation is important. You are able to come up with a digital twin of the actual physical model, yeah, such that you can simulate a lot of what if scenario. And last but not least, robots. As you can see in the previous diagram, we are relying a lot more on autonomous robots that are intelligent, robots that can move by themselves in order to assist human to complete certain process faster. And also last but not least, materials. Engineers are involved in developing a lot of advanced materials, which you can see now, right? I mean, the battery in our smartphones, in our laptop are getting better. So that is also the outcome of that. So therefore, coming back to what I said earlier, if you are an engineering student, definitely about 80% of what you see here and those technologies, you will be able to master them. So therefore, it's a huge advantage for everyone actually to go for engineering, because you will be prepared for industry 4 and also means prepare for the future job. Apart from that, right, according to the same report by World Economic Forum as well, there are in total 10 different skills that is highly desired by 2025. So 2025 is not far away from us, right? So among all of these skills, right, it actually involves several categories. First thing first, right, it actually involves the blue color highlighted one, which are mainly on problem solving. And second one, it also involves what we call the self-management. How do we manage our learning? Yeah. How do we manage our stress? And the third one is the brown, which is mostly on working with people. How do we work as a team? How do we lead? And how do we follow, right? And last but not least, the dark blue one will be how do we make use of technology? So of all the 10 skills that you see here, that is actually involving how do we problem solve, how do we think critically, how do we withstand stress or whatsoever, all those 10 skills, the only way you can acquire all the 10 skills confidently is by going through the engineering education. Because the bottom line is that engineers are training students to become a good problem solver. And in order to solve problem and come up with reasonable solution or desired solution, you have to have all the 10 skills that's listed here. So therefore, again, it also further solidified the fact that studying for engineering programs is the right way to do. All right, so if you are now convinced, hopefully you are, so let me actually brief you through what are the pathway that you are going through from SPM all the way to graduation. So most of you that are listening to this particular seminar will be here, right? You just obtain your SPM results. So congratulations to those that get excellent results, right? So you are here SPM or O-level equivalent. So if you would like to move into engineering program, you must first go for a foundation in engineering at APU. So that will actually take 1 year, 3 semesters. And upon passing your foundation, you will then able to move to year 1 of engineering. If you wish to also go for another route, which is a diploma program, we do have a diploma in electrical and electronic engineering that takes about 2.5 years, right? And by going for the diploma, the advantage is that you can actually directly go for employment if you do not wish to move on to degree. However, of course, I wish most of you then would then move on to degree after diploma. So if you do move on to degree, you can directly join year 2 of your degree program. Yeah. So that is basically the pathway that you are going through. And once you started your university degree, out of the many engineering programs available, you actually will go through year 1. And year 1 is a foundation year, which you will also study a lot of the fundamental engineering subjects that actually let you acquire a lot of fundamental engineering knowledge. And when you come to year 2, right, you started to become specialized. Dependent on the program you are in, there will be certain specialized courses or modules that you will take compared with your friends which are taking a different program. And coming to year 3, right, you will started to also take certain skills like project management and also other essential skill. The reason is because we want to prepare you for the internship. According to the requirement by Board of Engineers Malaysia, at the end of year 3, you will go for a 4 months industrial training or internship placement, right? And that is the best opportunity for you to learn what is it like to work as an engineer, right? And also for you to be exposed to the actual or real world engineering working environment. And upon completing the 4 months internship, you will then come back to APU to complete your final year of engineering. Yeah. And in the final year, definitely you will need to complete the final year project. You also need to complete a group design project, or it's a project that you got to work alongside students from other programs in order to complete a prototype. And upon successful completion of year 4, you are now completing the 4-year engineering professional degree. You can then either go for employment, or for some of you will be interested to go for master study, which can be a master by research or can be master by coursework, right? And for many of you, also after you actually completed your 3 years employment, many of you will then be moving on to become a professional engineer. So again, later I will get Dr. Lau to talk about what are the pathways, yeah, how do you get yourself through in order to become a professional engineer. They have the title IR, just like what Dr. Lau has. And apart from that, right, as I mentioned before, you have to complete a foundation in engineering. And upon successful completion, you will be able to join one of the 5 engineering degree programs that are listed here. So at APU, we are very much focused in technology, and therefore all the engineering programs that we have planned and launched are closely related to technology and also closely related to the latest requirement as we all see in Industrial Revolution 4.0. So there are degrees in Mechatronic, Electrical and Electronic, Telecommunication, Petroleum, and also Computer Engineering. And later, we are going to delve a bit deeper on each of these programs so that you have a very good understanding on what are the scopes and what are the career potential from each of these engineering programs. Yeah. Apart from that, also, there are many benefits of studying engineering at APU, which I will actually elaborate now. The first important benefit is that all the engineering programs at APU are fully accredited by Board of Engineers Malaysia. So the accreditation is actually very important. Engineering programs, they are accredited by BEM. They must have 4 years of duration. They must meet a certain high level of expectation in terms of teaching and learning resources, as well as teaching and learning quality. Yeah, and all the 5 engineering programs that you see here, they have fully obtained accreditation by Board of Engineers Malaysia. And the advantage of accreditation is not only you can register as graduate engineer and moving towards getting your professional engineer, your degree qualification at APU is also recognized worldwide by Washington Accord, which is an agreement by International Engineering Alliance. And under this particular agreement, what is going to happen is that if you have an accredited or approved degree by Board of Engineers in Malaysia, your degree certificate is also recognized in 21 other countries that you see here. And those countries will be including United States, United Kingdom, Japan, Canada, China, Singapore, Hong Kong, India, and many others. So your degree programs at APU is recognized worldwide. Yeah. Even though some of you may ask me, hey, I do not see Germany here, I do not see France here. So even though you are furthering your studies or you wanted to work in France and Germany, they will also always refer to Washington Accord. Yeah. They will also see that the degree program is recognized in Malaysia, and Malaysia being part of the Washington Accord means that your degree program have achieved the standard and is also recognized internationally. So there shouldn't be problem of that as well. So coming back to here, let me wrap up. So the benefit of accreditation by Board of Engineers Malaysia will be you are able to register as a graduate engineer, and you are on the right pathway to become a professional engineer in Malaysia, or if you wish to also obtain chartered engineer, just like myself and Dr. Lau also have that qualification, you can do so as well because you have met the basic academic qualification. And by going for the degree that is actually under Washington Accord also means that there is a huge assurance that graduate will be considered as having achieved or met international academic standards for engineering. So that is actually very important. So right now, I would like to get Dr. Lau to come in to talk about what are the routes to professional engineer. Over to you, Dr. Lau.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Tang. So everyone, so right now you can see that the process actually categorized into 4 different columns. So from the academic requirement, graduate registration, training requirement, and also professional registration. So the academic requirements basically says that you need to study your engineering courses in the accredited institutions such as APU. So meaning that the certificate upon your graduation will be verified and also accredited, which is being recognized by the Board of Engineers Malaysia. So therefore, after you have studied the 4 years completed, you now a graduate. So therefore, upon your graduation, you will receive the BEM Graduate Engineer Registration Certificate, which you have a serial number about the engineering branches that you are registering, and also that will be used in order to continue to work on from your personal profile. So therefore, upon graduation, you are now a certified engineer. So if you want to go further to become a professional engineer, what you need to do is you need to complete a 3 years relevant work experience. This has to be done under the supervision of 2 professional engineers. So therefore, the professional engineer will actually guide you about what you can work, and how can you do it in order to make it a better preparation to enhance your profile. And also the continuous professional development also is alongside with your 3 years experience when you are as an engineer. And after you have accumulated all of these requirements, you can now go ahead to the professional registration. So there are 2 different institutions can perform this registration, which is BEM and also IEM. But basically what they do is you will need to undergo a series of examination, including the face-to-face interview and also the writing essay, the examination. So after you have passed the interview and also the essay examination, you are now can entitle the IR title in front of your name, and you'll be certified and you'll receive a stamp in order to symbolize that you have already achieved the status, and now you can actually enlarge and also broaden the career path, because some of the profession you can only do it with the IR title in your hand. And one good thing about APU, studying engineering in APU, which is if you graduate from APU, the first 2 columns is already checked. You already received the first 2 columns. You are ready in order to start with your training requirement in the end to get your professional engineering. And that's all from me. Pass back to you, Dr. Tan.
Thanks, Dr. Lau. So that is exactly the pathway that engineer Dr. Lau actually go through, yeah? And it's actually very fruitful and highly satisfying, right? Because you have actually meet the competency required for you to be registered as a professional engineer. So definitely that will be the ultimate aim for all engineering graduates. Okay, now move on. Another advantage of APU degree program for engineering is you can also opt for APU De Montfort University dual award degrees. And the option to join this is entirely optional. And let me explain to you what is the benefits of that. So if you are joining the dual degree award with DMU, you are still studying as per normal with other students that take the single APU degree program. You are going through the same assessment. However, DMU is our quality partner. They are very confident on the quality of our teaching learning assessment and also the quality of our student. So therefore, they will also want to join and award their MEng degree, or what we call Master of Engineering. So let me explain to you the difference between the two. In Malaysia, if the engineering degrees are 4 years and the engineering degrees are recognized by Board of Engineers Malaysia, they are actually known as Bachelor of Engineering. In the UK, a 4 years engineering degree is called Master of Engineering. Yeah, it's the first undergraduate degree as well. It's not the postgraduate degree that everyone imagine when we call master. And the other thing is that they also have a 3-year degree option, which is called BEng. So therefore, do you see the benefit? When you are graduated with APU, a Bachelor of Engineering degree, which are recognized worldwide, you are also obtaining a degree certificate as well as academic transcripts for Master of Engineering from De Montfort University, UK. So that is the distinct advantage that can add on to your career profile, and possibly also you can also use that, for example, to seek employment or whatsoever. So that is basically a distinct advantage for those of you that would like to join the dual degree award. And coming back to engineering, right, just a summary before we actually move on to discuss in detail each of the engineering degree program. So first thing first, right, armed with SPM qualification, if you have 5 credits in at least 5 subjects, including a credit in maths and physics or chemistry at SPM, then you will be able to join the foundation in engineering pathway. And upon completing the foundation, then you can then move on to year 1 degree of the following engineering degree programs. Or if you have a 3 credit in at least 3 subjects, right, at SPM, including maths and any other science subject, then you are also able to join the diploma in electrical and electronic engineering. And upon completing the 2.5 years diploma program, you can also join year 2, year 2 of the engineering program. However, if you are graduate in diploma in E&E, of course, definitely petroleum engineering is not something that you are moving on, right? You will be moving on to 4 of the engineering degree program that you see there. All right, so right now I would like to actually start to actually talk about some of the details of each of the engineering degree. We will try to make it simple to understand, such that at the end of the session, you can actually differentiate what are the differences, right? And what is the distinct features of each of these engineering program. So for that, for mechatronic and computer engineering, I will pass on to Dr. Lau to explain. Over to you, Dr. Lau.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tang. So, Mechatronic Engineering. So, from the description that you see on the screen, which is a discipline that integrates synergistically mechanical and electronics. So, for the control and computer system, it is because right now we are in the Industrial 4.0 era. So therefore, by no choice, we had to integrate all of our system according to the process, control, and also the computer system. Go to the next slide. So basically, mechanical and also mechatronic, what is the difference? So as I mentioned just now, mechatronic is actually mechanical and electronics combination. So therefore, it actually enhances both of the benefits into one single program. So look at the mechanical, it is a branch of engineering with focus in the designing of a component, a machine, a process, which is having the fundamental knowledge of force, energy, and motion. So therefore, from this description, we can see that there is actually no involvement of electronics. So, but mechatronics is also having the knowledge that you need for the mechanical, but at the same time, you need to implement this into machines. So that is the reason you need the knowledge of the electronics in order to make sure that the machine in the big factory, they will not go haywire, the manufacturing process will go on track. So therefore, mechatronic engineering definitely is a better choice. Better choice in terms of for right now, which is having the Industrial Revolution 4.0, where everything has to be smart, where everything has to be autonomous. So that is the reason mechatronic is the better choice for now. Go to the next. So therefore, this is some example about mechatronics. So mechatronics, in the simple saying, you can say are developing robots which involve sensors and movement. So as long as any movement that you are seeing, actually this is all related under mechatronic program. Okay, so the example that we display right now is like a dog-alike robot and also the Tesla. Okay, maybe this is something that you may not see it daily, but let me quote you a daily example. So I believe right now you know what is a vacuum robot, right? Which is something like a frisbee, which is go around your house in order to vacuum all the dust and all that. So therefore, this perfectly is a combination of mechanical and electronics because it involves sensors, it involves movement. So therefore, your vacuum robots will go around your house with all this equipment and also clean your house. And this interfacing is actually requiring the electronics knowledge. How are we going to make the suction happening inside the vacuum robot, and in order to use the electronic to control it in order to clean our house? So therefore, this is actually a perfect example to describe what mechatronic is. Go to the next slide. So why study mechatronic engineering? So therefore, this is actually something relatively new and less saturated. The reason is because, for example, like the mechanical itself, we all understand that this is a very, it actually happened, it appeared long ago. But right now, due to we started to have electricity, we started to use smart system. So therefore, this is relatively new. So therefore, meaning that there is a market demand. People still require this kind of knowledge in order to achieve a lot of futuristic features in our life. And also multi-skill engineer, because you have to have the knowledge of mechanical and also have to have the knowledge about the electronics, and also the versatility in the career option, specialization in the IR 4.0. I believe everyone understands that this is actually the skills that we strongly needed. We strongly need this kind of skill in this era. So therefore, studying mechatronic engineering actually provide all this knowledge to you. So therefore, this is a good choices if you're thinking of taking any engineering program. So go to the next slide. So the typical job scope for a mechatronic engineer. So therefore, to make it simpler, so engineer, talking about engineer, basically engineer is like a troubleshooter. We need to solve problems. So therefore, that is the reason you have a lot of engineer, you have electrical engineer, you have civil engineer, even up to maybe you have a sound engineer, you have a media engineer, up to this. So therefore, meaning that we are solving problems, but what mechatronic engineer do is like they need to interface between mechanical parts and also the electronics in order to make a system work. So therefore, the description on the screen, creating automated system and the software to control item. So which is something that a lot of manufacturing factory is using right now. So therefore, you can imagine, for example, just now the example I have quoted, the vacuum robot. For example, I want to have a new added features. I need to have a more enhanced features on it. So therefore, this is actually one of the job scope that mechatronic engineer has to take on. So which is interfacing electronic and also mechanical. So which is in order to make the system work is the typical job scope of a mechatronic engineer. So go to the next slide. So next, I also want to talk about the computer engineering. Okay, so this is actually something similar to the similarity is not because of the content. It is because computer engineering is also a combination, which is a combination between electronic engineering and also computer science. Okay, so maybe 10 years ago you never heard about computer engineering. Maybe it was not something popular, but right now computer engineering indeed is a strong demand in the market right now. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, everything is smart, everything is artificial intelligence. So of course we need to use intelligent system and intelligent software in order to do that. So again, I want to quote the example. Yeah, I want to quote the example that I used just now, the vacuum robot. Okay, so maybe your family has one, maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So therefore, at that time, when you are using the vacuum robot, you may feel that, okay, the robot is very stupid because it keep banging the wall and unable to clean some of the corners, and also keep revolving in the same spot and did not go through the entire room. Okay, but right now, if you go and survey about all the robot vacuum that we have right now, actually it becomes smarter and smarter. That is the reason that the computer engineering, because we are having more artificial intelligence and also advanced smart features to install into our vacuum robots. So therefore, right now, if you go to the market, there are a lot of highly technology equipment within the robot vacuum itself. It can clean your house. So therefore, the problems that you see before, for example, it keep banging the wall, it just revolving at one spot, you do not see that anymore. So therefore, I want to say that this is indeed the effort of the computer engineer, because according to the job scope that listed in the screen right now, so a computer engineer is to interface the computer science knowledge to the electronics in order to make it better. So therefore, it is also in line with our focus for the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So therefore, you will see that even though down to a small home appliances like a vacuum robot also requiring computer engineering, how about the world out there? There are a lot of other areas that indeed they need a lot of knowledge about the computer engineering. So we can go to the next slide. So therefore, that's why the typical job scope for the computer engineer is to evaluate in design and maintain computer hardware and software system, and to implement it inside any existing engineering system right now. So therefore, to develop, test, and design computer processors, circuit boards, and network system, and also resolve all the problems that address any concern that occur with the hardware or the software. So meaning that right now, if we already have any existing system being installed right away, but we believe maybe that is not perfect at the beginning. So that is the things that we need to keep enhance and enhance and enhance. So where comes this enhancement? We have to study the past data, which is indicating what is the reason the system is failing and all that. We collect all this data and use the computer science data analytics skill in order to compile what is the better solution. And once we have the solution, we need to install back to the system using our engineering knowledge. So therefore, for a computer engineer, your job scope basically is a combination of computer science and also engineering, electronic engineering. So I believe this is what I wanted to share, and back to you, Dr. Tang.
Thanks, Dr. Lau, for the very interesting and illustrative explanation. So now it's my turn now to also talk about some other degree program. So just now, Dr. Lau did mention about Mechatronic Engineering and Computer Engineering. So that two degree programs are somewhat newer degree programs, and also somewhat also more relevant to Industrial 4.0, the skills. However, we must not forget that in engineering world, we are still requiring the skills of other engineer as well. One such skill will be on electrical and electronic engineering. Yeah, so if you read the name of the program, it actually involves electrical, and electrical is mainly concerned with power generation, power distribution, and how do we make use of energy and so-called electricity, right? And the other part of it is actually electronic engineering, which are involving like how do we design the circuit board, how do we actually design embedded system such that we can use that to power some of the devices and systems. So that is basically what electrical and electronic engineering do. And if you are not sure, for example, right, which branch of engineering you want to go, the best way that that you can go is actually electrical and electronic engineering. Because from the description, right, you know that the skills that you will acquire is actually covering all kind of engineering, area, and the skill of electrical or electronic engineering will be required in all industries. Yeah, no matter is it construction, manufacturing, or some other industries. So why you want to study electrical electronic, as I say, right, is highly versatile. As a graduate from E&E, you can actually work in many different company. Even if you want to work in a telecommunication company, they will still need someone, yeah, to set up certain tower that need electricity supply, right? So that is basically what it is. You are multi-skilled, you are versatile. You can either be a generalist or a specialist, right? If you wanted to actually advance yourself in high voltage engineering, which is under electrical, you can. Or if you just want to become a sales and maintenance engineer, because you like to interface with people, you can too. So that is basically the flexibility it gives, right? And coming from that is actually is very easy for you to find jobs if you are a graduate of electrical and electronic engineering. And coming back to what I say also, basically the job scope can be either in electrical engineering side, where you are designing electrical system, you are maintaining electrical systems, or you are in the electronics area, where you are in charge of developing, testing, or supervise the manufacturing of electronic devices, right? So that is the two major job scope that you can be involving yourself in. And apart from that, right, we also must not forget the importance of telecommunication engineering. According to the latest survey, right, for those students under 20 years old, more than 80% of them actually have a smartphone, right? And nowadays, right, because of lockdown, because of MCO, we are really relying on electronic devices, right? And we are using it for us to actually use the data plan and for us to access to meetings, talks, for us to access to YouTube, Facebook, Netflix, or whatsoever. So therefore, the demand for a very fast data rates, the demand for a very stable data rate is ever more important, right? Therefore, telecommunication engineering basically deal with that. It actually deal with how information or data is being transmitted and received, and all kind of technologies that are involved in transmitting or receiving information. So that will involve optic fiber, satellite. They will involve a landline, a couple line, and that will also involve various different newer technology like 5G, Bluetooth, and things like that. So we will need expertise within the area such that they can then design relevant devices that can make the data transmission faster and yet stable. So as I said just now, basically, right, data speed and stability is very important, especially ever more important moving forward. So therefore, the expertise of telecommunication engineering will be highly important. And also, the skill that you acquire is actually relevant to the industry for, because in order for you to actually have the machines to communicate each other and for the data to be uploaded to cloud, you will need a very good and fast data rate, right? And apart from that as well, if you take a look at the job scopes, right? As a graduate of telecommunication engineering, you can get yourself involved in various different areas, right? If you would like to actually work at the front line, yeah, you can actually work with telecommunications providers like Masys, DG, Cellcom, for example. You are then analyzing customer needs, right? When the customer say, I do not get a good network coverage, you will then go and analyze the coverage pattern to ensure that you actually put enough telecommunication tower such that there's no blind spot. You may be also involving with companies like Huawei or ZTE or Ericsson, right, where you actually design and update telecommunication equipment and systems. Or you may be also doing testing and maintenance. So there are a lot more things that you can do if you are a graduate of telecommunication engineering. And last but not least, right, I would like to talk about petroleum engineering. So this particular engineering area maybe is a bit new to all of you, or maybe you can never imagine yourself to become a petroleum engineer. Let me say that petroleum is still in high demand, and a survey shows that we are still requiring petroleum for the next 100 years. Just think about it, right? Even though we have now an electric vehicle, seems like the vehicle can actually propel itself just by a battery. However, just think about how power is generated. Think about how do we use electricity, right, to actually charge the battery. And for that, we still need the power generation plant. And a lot of the plants are actually running on natural gas. Yeah, natural gas. So therefore, petroleum industry are still important, especially it actually focus on what we call the upstream. The upstream is actually concerning how do we detect the reservoir of petroleum, how do we then drill and extract the oil and the gas, and then how do we able to go through various different production process to turn it into an end product. For example, the petrol that we pump into our car. So it actually involves all kind of engineering skills like drilling, well, reservoir, production, all kind of skills that are relevant to production of oil. And why you want to study petroleum engineering? If you are someone that would like to always, go to the oil rig, that the oil rig can be in the middle of the sea, or you want to go to some facilitating earth interesting geographical features of the world, that is what you actually can join. Yeah, because it's actually exciting. Earth science are fascinating, right? You actually learn different soil and rocks. You learn what are the possible features, right, that you can actually extract the oil. And as I said before, also demand for fossil fuels never ceasing, yeah, never stopping. And also for petroleum engineers, right, you always do not base in your home country. You have the opportunity to explore the world. You go to various different interesting places around the world, and for the mission to get the oil, to explore, to see whether there's any crude oil or gas, yeah, natural gas in that country. And as a petroleum engineer, right, as I mentioned before, you are mostly involving yourself in what we call the upstream, which is all concerning the extraction of oil, storing of oil, and also the processing of oil. So below are the typical tasks that a petroleum engineer will do. Yeah, and those are all relevant to the exploration and also production of crude oil and also natural gas. So now we have actually explained on the 5 program. Hopefully, we are able to give you a very good idea the distinct features of each of the engineering programs that are offered at APU. Of course, if you have any question later, you can always post in the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and we will be able to answer that. And coming back to internship, right? Another distinct feature of engineering is that internship is highly important, right? And internship is always at the end of SEM 2, year 3, for 4 months or 16 weeks. And internship really gives us an opportunity for us to explore, to expose to real-world engineering practice, right? And also to give us some idea, what is it like to work as an engineer in the companies. And at APU, right, there are more than 250 companies registered with us. And you can see that these are some of the companies that our student has gone to for their internship placement. I believe a lot of the names are very recognizable for you. And many of them actually completed their 4 months internship with this company. And not only that, they also bring back certain projects from this company and use it as a final year project. And a lot of them also end up being employed by this company upon graduation, because the company actually sees that the student is able to contribute hugely to the problem solving at their company. So the other thing that I want to highlight is that the engineering degree program is actually what we call outcome-based education. So if you are a student in engineering, there are 12 different skills that is highly important for you to acquire upon graduation, and the skills are listed here. And this is actually what we call graduate attribute. So as an engineering students, we must actually ensure that you are able to go through the acquisition of all of these skills slowly from year 1 to year 4, such that upon graduation, you are on the right pathway to be successful in your career, and of course for the world as well. All right, and also right now our country is in lockdown, it's in MCO, but the teaching and learning never stop. So for engineering education, right, we are now move on to online and also physical delivery, or we call that as a hybrid delivery. So we are using a lot of the newest technology like Microsoft Teams, OneNote, or Whiteboard for us to actually conduct our lectures online, and also for our lecturer to perform live illustration. As you all know, engineering involves a lot of calculation, a lot of explanation. Our lecturer actually have all the relevant digital technology, yeah, for them to actually deliver teaching effectively online. And when the campus is open, and the lecturer also can enjoy a lot of the latest smart classroom facility at APU, and they can then conduct classes to both physical students as well as students online. Yeah, especially for those that are not able to come to Malaysia due to some various reasons. Apart from that, right, all the lectures are being recorded as well. So students can access to the video lectures after that. And concerning experiment as well, we have also now moved on to a lot of the online and virtual lab, yeah, virtual experiment, such that students are not losing any physical psychomotor skills, even though they are not allowed to come to universities. And also, we also try to videotape our lab experiment, and we share the video to the student, and the student can see exactly how the experiment is going to be completed, and they can actually get the reading, they can understand the procedures of the experiment. Of course, right, when the lab is allowed to open again, we will then get the student to come back to university and for them to complete a series of practical labs physically, such that they're not losing any relevant practical skills. And the other thing that we also would like to highlight is that what is so special about studying engineering at APU? I think I have probably covered this part, which is on the curriculum. Most of the time, right, a lot of the universities, they are focusing on theory, right? Because engineers are problem solver, you have to have a very good grasp of fundamental engineering theories. And of course, you also have to have a very good skills in terms of your experimentation and your hands-on. So the theory and the experiment are mostly the two skills they are highly focusing on in the any engineering education. And in addition to that, at APU, right, we also focus equally on employment readiness, right? Because we wanted to produce graduates, they are adequately equipped for employment, such that the moment that they graduate, they can then start their employment. And for employment readiness skill, we actually embed in our curriculum a lot of opportunities for students to work together, and also for students to lead a project. Yeah, so that is basically also want to develop student ability to present and effectively convey their ideas as well. And that is also very important in the today's world. And last but not least, right, we also expose our students to a lot of the latest technology. Yeah, APU is a technology focused university. So therefore, you also can master a lot of the latest tools and techniques in order for you to be successful in your career. And our staff is also wonderful. We have a lot of staff, and with the majority of them with industrial experience, and many more of them actually have professional engineer and also chartered engineer qualification. So when you are attending any classes, right, what you will hear, what you will listen will be the practical, real world case studies that your lecturer is able to share with you, right? Apart from that as well, we are well linked with industry. More than 30% of our final year projects are projects that's contributed by the industry. So while you are studying in engineering, you are starting to solve real world problems. Yeah, you are starting to contribute to the betterment of the mankind. Apart from that, right, our students are well linked with engineering professional bodies. There are three professional bodies at APU. One is the student chapter of IEM, IMAE, and also SPE, as you can see over there. So there are a lot of activities that has been organized under the three societies. So as a student at APU, you will be able to enjoy all of these workshops or talks, right, that is actually conducted by the engineering societies. All right, so now I want to pass back to Dr. Lau to talk about many other activities as well as students' achievement. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Lau.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tang. Okay, so I believe university is actually like a mini society. Okay, so once you enroll to any university, right, actually you are also, it's like you are part of the society. Okay, and also we believe that the teaching and learning is not only from the class. Okay, so a lot of teaching and learning, of course, majority of the class, but there are a lot of hands-on experience and also the feel. I mean, the real experience about the any machines or any industry or any factory. So that is the reason we organize industry visits, because we really want the student to feel about, okay, what is the current manufacturing lines look like. So maybe there is their chance in order to see an actual manufacturing production line, how does it operate? And also at the same time, we will look into what are the involvement of engineer and also which part is by which program. So therefore, this is actually create a better understanding among students. Okay, so next. And also the industry linkage, this one, because just now Dr. Tang has mentioned that every student has to undergo the internship process. The internship actually is for you to also have the experience. You must have the experience working in the industry in order to know that what is the things that they really need and also what can you contribute. So this industry linkage actually provide a very good platform for you to grow about yourself. For example, to talk to people, to communicate professionally in order to solve the problems. These are all the experience that is very hard to get from the classroom itself. And next. And also, not only visits and also industry linkage, we also provide workshops. So because we had to, because learning is actually something like lifelong thing. Okay, it's not only like you go to the university, you only do your learning there. Learning is everywhere. So therefore, we also provide workshops in order to keep up with the latest technology. For example, the recent workshop that we have is like LoRa, the low range communication tools. So therefore, how are we going to use this, and also what is the effect, what is the objective, and also the possible applications? We will be introducing students about a lot of different tools using these engineering workshops. Okay, next. So therefore, we also encourage students to take a step outside the classroom in order to do something more than that. For example, competition. So competition, because this is also like a checkpoint. For example, you want to check with yourself, are you really up to a standard? Do you consider yourself a competent person in engineering? So therefore, competition is actually one of the good chance for you to test the skill that you learn from the class, and also to demonstrate what is the solution needed by the organizer in order to offer your solution to test whether you have the skill required by an engineering student. Okay, so next. So there are a lot of student achievement, but what I wanted to highlight over here is it is not only in Malaysia, it is not only national. There are a lot of international achievement. So therefore, meaning that the graduates and also the student that we are nurturing in APU is actually competent, which is able to achieve some of the recognition from the company or from any other institution around the world. So next. So therefore, this is one of the awards that we received in Taiwan, InnoServe, is mentored by the lecturer Freddy. And also what do they do is autonomous drone for power line. So therefore, you will be given a question and you will need to offer the solution. This is basically what an engineer is doing. So therefore, you have to use the knowledge that you gain, for example, from computer engineering, telecommunication, E&E, and also mechatronic, in order to put out everything to offer as a solution. So this is what they receive by the end. And next. And also this is one of our recent graduate in 2021. So this is actually his final year project. Okay, so his final year project is about taking some mechanical instrument to play the music instrument. Okay, so therefore this is also being recognized by the award APICTA. And also we received the first prize from them. So again, this is actually proving that the competency of the student nurtured by APU is actually up to the certain standard for that. And I believe this is all the achievement. And also this is also one of the reason why actually I'm there. and the one on the left. So this is the global Hilti IT competition. Okay, so world champion, we are saying that we are world champion because we really are, because this is a competition among more than 60 countries. And also more than 200 teams are actually participating, but in the end, we are the champion. So therefore, that is also another time that we are proving that the teaching and learning and also the lesson that the program that we offered by APU is able to nurture the student to become a competent engineer in order to face the challenge of the world after the graduation. And I believe that's all about the achievement that I want to share, right? I think I
Thank
can
you.
pass back to you, Dr. Tang.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lau. By going through all these competition wins and student achievement, right, it really let me remember all the hard work and effort that our lecturer and also our students have put in order to be successful in those competition. Like what Dr. Lau mentioned just now, right? Competition is always a very good testing ground for the competency of the students and also of our staff. So you can see, right, our students are very successful, not only at the national stage, they are also successful on a world stage, right? For example, the most recent one, and thanks to Dr. Lau mentorship, right, we are the world champion of the Hilti Global IT competition, right? It's actually surprised to see an engineering team winning an IT competition, but that is actually what we are, right? We are grooming our engineers, not only have the fundamental engineering knowledge and skills, they are also aware and also attractive to the latest requirement, especially in the era of Industry 4. And let me tell you, they are all year 2 students. It's so amazing that they actually emerge as a world champion for a competition that is competed at the world stage and participated by universities from 43 countries around the world. That is indeed a huge achievement and a very good proof that we are producing highly competitive and also skillful graduates. Apart from that, right, you want to know more about what is happening at the School of Engineering, and you would like to actually understand what kind of activities that have been happening within the school, I will encourage you to actually log on to APU website to look at our newsletter. Yeah, I can show you very quickly one of the newsletter, which is the one of the latest edition, right? So our newsletter is actually called Engineers Insight. It actually capture a lot of the articles written by our lecturer, like I have written this article, as well as some of the activities uh, that is actually involving our student. You can see there are a lot of sharing and activities happening there, including some of the activities that's happening. Yeah, one thing to highlight as well is since MCO, right, we also move a lot of the workshops and talks online. So the exposure to professional engineering practice never stop. Yeah, even though everyone is locked down, we are also using technology effectively. So coming back to the presentation, and the last few slides actually talk about the labs and the facilities. And when you join APU engineering, right, rest assured that you can actually enjoy one of the 20 well-equipped engineering labs available at the university. Yeah, so I hope that a lot of you can also visit our website and also can take a look at the videos that showcasing those labs. And when the MCO is over as well, for example, when you're allowed to come to the university for a visit, please feel free to visit the labs as well. Last but not least, right, we just want to share a small video of our APU alumni, and showing here just some of the alumni that have been graduated from APU and they're actually ending up working. Yeah, one of them actually is a technopreneur. He actually opened up his own company, Alex, and a few others, right? Like you can see, Nicholas actually worked in Togglove as assistant manager, and Hosam actually worked in Schneider Electric, and really actually work in Fuji. Yeah, so they actually work worldwide. Yeah, and they have actually attained great success. And I just wanted to share a video of Chan Hong Yi. If you remember him, he is the person that Dr. Lau has mentioned. Let me actually go back to that. He recently graduated from APU with a degree in Mechatronic Engineering. He's currently working in Top Glove. Yeah, he's also the winner of the Apita Award. Let's listen to him and see what he has to say about his experience at APU and how does it help him to be successful in his career.
Hi everyone, my name is Chan Hong Yi. I'm a Mechatronic Engineering graduate from Asia Pacific University. My learning experience in APU has been awesome and rewarding towards my career when it comes to project type assignment that open up great opportunity to learn a module. To get the most of it from each subject, what I did was challenging myself to be creative and excel my work to beyond the scope of marking scheme. I myself likes programming and design a lot and really love that assignments give me a lot of freedom to express them. For example, there is a lab report that tasks students to simulate a cookie production line using a visual programming language called LabVIEW. Instead of just building a modern dashboard as required, I simulated a production line that with moving conveyor belts carrying cookies using the built-in UIs. Till today, I'm so satisfied with what I have created and how much more I have learned about the language from just the 20-mark assignment. It really depends on how much effort you're willing to spend on your work, and that will determine how much value you can bring to yourself. Because today's employers want to see the values you can bring to their company. So by taking extra steps, you also show them what you're capable of in innovating ideas. So if you wish to do so, APU has enough labs and resources ready to be utilized. And another thing that contributes to my university experience is the class. My class in my intake has about 30 to 40 students in my class, which is lesser than most other universities out there. From there, the lecturers can have more focus on every students and respond to their doubts. I have encountered a complex problem-solving situation in my life learning pathway, and the lecturers are always ready to help. All I need to do is to be curious about a topic and just ask. The same thing applies in my career. I don't need to ask around to solve problems raised by other departments or from projects because it needs to be solved as soon as possible. Failure to do so will cost time and value that the company would not like to see.
All right. So let me just come back to the slides also. So we are now at the last part of our presentation. And like what you listened to Mr. Chan, right, say that he actually getting a highly favorable experience at APU. And by going through the courses and with the support of the lecturers and also with his own personal effort, he's able to achieve huge success, being the winner of the APITA Award and also currently working with Calculus as engineer. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much. And I believe we will have some time to take some questions and answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Tang and Dr. Lau for such an enlightening session. Now we would love to hear from the floor, from the audience. Perhaps due to time constraint, we can take few questions that has been asked, okay? Dr. Lau, perhaps you can answer this one. What is the difference between science and engineering?
Dr. Lau, your mic is mute. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, science and engineering. So therefore, in my opinion, science is actually the principle, the fundamental principle. So for example, a long time ago, we have a lot of great scientists. They discover a lot of law or some equations or some formula, for example, like the Newton's first law, second law, third law, whatsoever. So this discovery is the science because this is a fundamental principle which is happening around us, happening in this world, okay? But engineering is a study which is based on these fundamental principles. For example, like electrical engineering, the most basic, I believe all the students out there, they know that, okay, V equal to IR. This is the formula that we frequently use in electrical engineering. V equal to IR is the science. This is a discovery by the scientists long time ago. But we engineer, based on this V equal to IR, we have created some, for example, some circuits, or some device in order to control, for example, like just now the vacuum robot in order to make it smarter, or any other communication tools in order to communicate. So therefore, if you ask me what is the difference between science and engineering, science is the principal knowledge, but engineering is something beyond that, based on this fundamental principle to create more and more, a lot of innovative beyond our imagination. So this is my answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lau. I believe it has been well answered. Okay, the last question for the day, we should have Dr. Tang, okay, what recent
Right.
major breakthroughs are attributed to engineers in improving the quality of our everyday lives?
Yeah, I think the most major recent breakthrough, right, is with the increase in computing power and also with the storage getting really cheaper. So there are a lot of relevant technologies that has been invented and getting better, right? For example, artificial intelligence, in the area of deep learning, for example, learning from data. There's also a breakthrough in terms of IoT, for example. So all of this newest technology actually has been used in the engineering world in order to improve the quality. When we say improving quality, right, we are actually looking at how do we do things faster, better, and more consistent. So that is basically what we intend to achieve. And the recent technologies that are actually there and has been actually used very well by engineers to design all kind of systems that is actually benefiting our life. Thanks, Shakirin.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Tang. Okay, we have one more from the our Facebook page. Okay,
All
from
right.
Miss Anna. What are the programs offered by APU that come with a minor or training in robotics and automation?
Okay, probably I want to let me answer that. Okay, definitely Mechatronic Engineering for sure, right? You know, if you are studying Mechatronic Engineering, you'll be exposed to robotics technology. You'll be exposed to how do we make use of image and video processing for you to detect patterns. That's what we call machine vision. You'll be exposed to artificial intelligence. Apart from that as well, right? When it comes to automation, definitely you will be exposed to relevant uh, programmable logic controllers, and also all the latest and the greatest microprocessor, microcontroller that is actually relevant for automation. However, if you are not a mechatronics student, APU also offer a lot of what we call the micro credential courses, the short courses that you can also join when you study with us, and you can use that to also get skills and also digital certification on robotics and automation area as well. And thank you for the question. It's a very good question.
Okay, all right, that will be the last for today. Thank you so much once again, Associate Professor Dr. Tang and also Dr. Lau for such an insightful session. So, okay. Please do join APU E-Open Day to find out more on programs offered and gain further knowledge and information, and being connected and attended by our helpful and useful, lovely, interesting e-counselors, as well as keep posted with latest updates on APU via our main website, www.apu.edu.my, as well as all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Okay, so don't forget everyone to tune in for the second sessions of the day on psychology, solving real world problems at 2:30 p.m. today. For those who have missed out this session, this very first session, fret not, there will be a recording recorded versions of this webinar will be made available for those who have missed out these sessions. Okay, with that, I shall end this session with another quote from Isaac Asimov that shall conclude this topic. Science can amuse and fascinate us all, but it is engineering that changes the world. Thank you once again. Take care and stay safe.